Yo guys, hey, what's up? It's your boy here. I know it has been a long time doing a wrestling video. I hope you guys are still in tune to watch this at least. I know a lot of things have changed with YouTube's algorithm and everything, so I don't even know how many people are gonna even see this. But hopefully, I like to get the conversation going on this. You guys talk about wrestling, things that go on in the wrestling world. I am a wrestling fan. AEW, talk about WWE, all that, and in between. There have been a lot of things going on in the wrestling world, particularly WWE and even AEW. I've been wanting to talk about over the last several months. I just get caught up in my own personal life and, just feel motivated to do it, but then by the time I get around to wanting to make a video to discuss things going on within the wrestling world for both of these companies and other things, I get a little lazy sometimes, or I just become unmotivated and just don't want to do it. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow becomes a week, and then 2 weeks. But I had to jump on here tonight while the news is coming in hot and fresh. Vince McMahon has retired from WWE, stepping away completely from the company. Still the largest shareholder of the company, but he has stepped down as CEO completely. He's even been removed from or stepping away from the creative process of WWE. We know, just get a little backstory here. We know Vince McMahon has been under some investigations for, having an affair, which isn't a shock to wrestling fans within the wrestling bubble, the wrestling world. For those of us who grew up and know the type of person Vince McMahon is, not surprising at all. However, though, him giving, hush money under the table, which he claims came out of his own pockets, not the company's pockets. Vince McMahon had stepped down as acting CEO of WWE, chairman of WWE, while they were going under investigations, but he was still leading the head of creative. And then we came out last week that Vince McMahon apparently had even more affairs under the table that accumulated to $12 million worth of hush money with multiple women over the past, several years. And I think it was this week that Wall Street Journal apparently had more dirt that they were going to reveal next week on Vince McMahon. And then today, out of the blue, Vince McMahon sends a press release that he is stepping down entirely as CEO of WWE, leaving both his daughter and Nick Khan, who is the current president, as co-CEOs for the WWE. This is huge. And WWE has been, has had a lot of, you could say, history-making moments. The day that Vince McMahon bought WCW in 2001, and we saw him on TNT Network, and him buying out his competition, that was a history moment for WWE. The birth of the WWE Network was another milestone for the WWE company. Whatever side of the spectrum where you lead on in terms of politics, whatever. But Vince McMahon signing, a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia for millions of dollars, multi-millions of dollar deal. That was another milestone for the company. To them selling the WWE network and all its contents to Peacock, another milestone for the company, and even a lot of their financial moves, making them the most profitable they've ever been in this company's history. Monumental success to WWE, and things that you will look back on and say, this was a moment in time that WWE did this or that or the other. But Vince McMahon retiring, stepping down from WWE, this trumps all of those things. This is the most monumental, historic thing ever in WWE's history and company, because Vince McMahon, even at 77 years old, has always been with WWE. I mean, when you think of WWE, you think of Vince McMahon. Even the oldest wrestling fan of today, who are like diehard WWE fans, or even a relapsed WWE fan, who are in their, you could say, mid to late 50s, going into their early 60s, when they were watching WWE and still watch it, being loyalists to that brand, Vince McMahon has always been there. So it's just like, you really can't think of a time. I mean, maybe when WWE was in this territory phase, but since the 80s, going all the way up, and even a little bit before the 80s, really, when WWE was starting to emerge and Vince took the company, bought it from his father, and made it what it is today, you really can't say, as a wrestling fan growing up on WWE, whether you stayed with them for years or you kind of grew out of it, you really can't think of a time where Vince McMahon has not been there with this company. This has been his baby. This has been his project. We know for years it kind of seemed like Vince has been open to selling WWE off at some point to somebody. Hence Nick Khan coming in and kind of cutting a lot of talent loose. But for Vince McMahon to now finally retire, this is huge. This is huge. Now, you can argue that Vince stepped down. Probably is not by his terms. Vince McMahon stepped down because of everything that's been going on, this controversy that's been surrounded with him, and these affairs and this hush money he's been giving these multiple women, and this upcoming, dirt that Wall Street Journal has reportedly said that they were going to reveal next week. Vince forcibly stepped down for this very reason. This is a man who has said for years he'll never retire. There was a ESPN interview where he said even if he dies, his spirit is going to be in WWE. It's going to run WWE. So we know how much Vince McMahon loves WWE. Again, there has been some speculations that will let you to believe that Vince was probably interested in selling the company off at some point with some of the business moves that they were kind of making. But WWE has been in Vince's DNA and vice versa for so many years. The only way Vince was going to step down was if he died. I think if these controversies and things have not come out, Vince will still be running WWE right now. This wouldn't even be a conversation. But this is huge because not only does Vince step down as the chairman, but he's also stepping away from the creative. And now you have Nick Khan and his daughter co-managing. Triple H has just been announced effective immediately, coming back into his role as the head of talent relations. That was reported earlier today, and then like a couple of hours after that, Vince announces his retirement. Brock Lesnar is set to have walked out on SmackDown tonight. He was supposed to appear tonight, but he's walked out because Vince McMahon retiring or announcing his retirement caught him off guard. He's not happy about it. He doesn't like doing business with anyone but Vince McMahon, and apparently they are trying their best to bring Brock back, or if things don't fall through, call an audible and possibly bring in Goldberg to replace Brock to face Roman Reigns at SummerSlam if Brock doesn't fall through. So there's a lot going on right now. I think Vince McMahon stepping down from WWE is a positive in a way, but it could also be a bad thing. For so many years we've always said the WWE product, its storylines and everything else, it plays to the audience of one, and that audience is Vince McMahon. When Vince McMahon stepped down as active CEO about a month ago, but was still head of talent, still head of the booking, didn't mean much of anything because he still held he was still driving the vehicle. He still had the keys to the vehicle of WWE. Even though he wasn't acting as CEO, he was still the head booker and head creative. Everything still funneled through Vince. Now that Vince has stepped away completely, his hands is off the steering wheel, and now you have his daughter and Nick Khan, I guess you could say maybe co-parenting Vince's baby now moving forward. What would the WWE product look like? I don't know. But the power has definitely shifted. I think that we won't see any significant changes right away in WWE, but those changes are going to come. Now, whether those changes are going to be good or whether those changes are going to be bad, I don't know. WWE could very well just kind of stay the course and, go about their business, and I guess you could say maybe try to, and Stephanie being his daughter, emulate some of, Vince's booking, or how Vince is creative and how he books stars and makes stars and whatnot. Um, who knows? But it's definitely going to be much different. It's going to be a different WWE. This is going to be a new era, truly a new era for WWE, because now Vince is being removed. And now you have Nick Khan, who, I mean, the guy is smart as hell. I mean, here's an outside guy from the outside world they brought into their bubble, and Nick Khan has been laying the hammer down in WWE. I mean, firing and getting rid of everybody left and right, budget cuts, really tightening and fastening the belt, strapping the boots and strapping the belt for WWE as a brand, and trying to, cut all losses. That was his job. Nick Khan is a shark and a businessman. We know that. So to have him, you know, not really be a person that's part of creative, but as a businessman, and then here you have Stephanie, who has been under Vince for a long time, who has, you know, has experience in booking creative. Her being the, I guess you could say maybe the creative mind. It's going to be really interesting to see how WWE moves forward without Vince, who was, the business savvy man and also the creative guy as well. Now you kind of have, two halves of a brain, being Nick Khan, who's a straight up business guy who really knows nothing about wrestling or sports entertainment, however you want to paraphrase it. And then you have Stephanie, who comes from that world, who is, the spawn of Vince McMahon. So she kind of knows and understands that sports entertainment world and, creative booking and whatnot. So it's going to be really interesting to see a marriage of these two people coming together, operating WWE. And in spite of all this, Vince McMahon is still the largest shareholder of WWE. So even though he stepped away, he still holds, a lot of stock, and shareholds in WWE. It's like Jeff Bezos. When Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon, I mean, he may not be running the day-to-day operations, but he still holds the largest shares of that company. So he could still kind of pull some strings in some degree. And I'm sure the same would be happening with Vince McMahon. But in terms of how this company creatively is going to be moving forward, even some of his business practices moving forward, Vince McMahon, for once, doesn't have his hand on the steering wheel. I mean, it's kind of shocking. It's shocking to see that after all of these years, the one thing that will pull Vince McMahon away, even forcibly, from WWE is not death, but scandals of his multiple affairs throughout the years, maybe the last decade, I should say, rather, is what forced Vince to step down from WWE. Kind of odd. I mean, Vince McMahon has never lost. For anyone who's ever followed him with a lot of, different, and Vince has been sued before. Vince has had some dirt and been on the public eye, has been in the public's eye, for, good or for better or worse before, and he's always won. This is the first time where Vince has taken a loss, and I mean, hey, the guy's been winning all his life. He's 77 years old. I mean, at some point, I guess, it was going to catch up with him. But, I think this is very interesting to see where WWE is going to be. Like I said, I can't say the product's going to get better because it very well could just kind of, they can just kind of stay the course. It could get better, or it could get worse than what we see now in terms of creative and storytelling and whatnot. But in whatever the case may be, this is definitely a history making moment for WWE. The biggest moment in WWE's history, and the power has definitely shifted in WWE forever. It's changed forever. I'm definitely interested to see, and and we might not even feel the ramifications of this power shift for a year. I don't think it's going to be immediate. It normally starts from the head, and then it just kind of trickles down from the bottom. And I don't think we're going to see a real monumental shift until probably next year's WrestleMania, and even then, we'll probably still be in that transitional phase, because they're going to bring in their own people now. Kevin Dunn, who has been with Vince since '85, the second most powerful guy in WWE since after Vince McMahon, has been with Vince since '85. Kevin Dunn, and Kevin Dunn has been sitting in a very cushy position for years. Now that Vince is gone, who's like his overhead, Kevin Dunn's next. Kevin Dunn is next on the chopping blocks. They might as well give him his exit package right now, and I'm sure he'll leave on a nice, comfy, check on his way out. But Kevin Dunn is next. Wouldn't surprise me if Bruce Pritchard might be next. Might. Like I said, the power's definitely shifted. It's going to be interesting to see. We probably won't feel the full effects of this, like I said, on TV at least. Maybe for a good year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. But I just want to get my thoughts on this, guys. You let me know what you think. And I also think it's just it's kind of bewildering as well, because it's just like, even though this was kind of sporadic, because apparently it's caught a lot of people off guard, it goes to show that Vince never really had prepared anybody well to take his place, like, at all. This was just kind of like last minute, and so urgent, and so kind of like abrupt. Maybe behind the scenes this was kind of planned a week ago prior, and it's just kind of a shock to us fans and everyone listening to this and seeing this on social media, because it was just kind of like out there. But it really also kind of shows too that Vince probably didn't prepare anyone to take over the throne. I should say, rather, because it just seems kind of random. Yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do yourself a favor, hit that like button, please subscribe, comment, let's talk about it. I want to hear your thoughts. Peace.